Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another session of Everyday English. I'm joined by the lovely Khadija and Marian. How are you guys
Hello.
today?
Hi, Pal.
Good. Hi, Phil.
Hi. Are you guys okay?
Yeah,
Fine.
doing good. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
How are
Yeah,
you?
fine.
Yeah, I'm alright. Just started my day, so
It's so
good so
sunny,
far.
guys. I can see it. Like, so nice and bright sunny.
Yeah, well, not over here. It's like a
Oh,
storm.
oh my God.
Well, today we're it's very grey and
Mm,
cold and windy where I am today. I don't like when it's
Oh,
windy.
maybe I'm the only one with like a bright blue
yeah,
sky. Maybe.
Yes, yeah.
I have a
You
feeling
have
that's
this.
gonna be ruined though. Soon it will start raining. I feel like because it keeps going down and then going up again.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's gonna rain soon.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh, well, I
gosh.
hope not. I hope not. I hope you keep your little blue bit, Khadija, and
Yes, I
if
need
you
it.
could, yes, if you could send it
Listen.
away, just a
Yeah,
bit more, that would be
send it our
great.
way.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, Pal, thank you for that introduction, and welcome everybody to our session. Today's session is going to be about quite a topic that everybody will have seen in the news. So, unfortunately, very sadly, a woman called Sarah Everard lost her life. And there is a huge amount of information about it in the news. This lady was kidnapped and murdered, and it looks as though, obviously, there will be court processes. We have a legal system that tries to make sure that the facts are always there. But it does look as though she was killed by a man who was a police officer.
Mm.
So this is a very big topic. Social media has been full of it as well. And one thing I've noticed is that social media responded one way to start off with. So there was lots of information and advice for how women can keep themselves safe and avoid terrible things happening to them, such as rape, murder, kidnap. And then social media turned itself around and people started saying, actually, let's talk to men about changing their behaviors and watching their behaviors and actually not doing things like this to women. So I've been really interested in what's been going on in those conversations. Khadija and Pell, have you seen any of these
yeah, it's
comments?
been everywhere. I've been reading so much stuff, and like there's stuff that's been trending. Like instead of protect your daughter, educate your son. That's like one of the main
Mm,
stuff that we've been seeing. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, it's all over like Twitter and Instagram, like all of my friends' stories, they have it. It's weird because, as you said, it started off with people being really angry. So,
Yeah,
like, the female population, they were really angry about the situation because they're like, until how long do we have to be scared? And then,
yeah.
they went on to giving advice to
Like
each
educating
other.
people
Yeah,
and raising awareness.
yeah, and how to stay safe. And then it went on to having arguments with men.
It's
There
just
was quite,
crazy, isn't it?
yeah, it was quite
Just weird.
yeah. And then after the argument with men, completely changed to how men can help
Yeah.
protect
So not
females.
just like be bystanders, but actually
Yeah,
do something with their actions. Because
yeah,
people started, you've probably seen it, Pal, I don't know, Marion maybe, but on social media, trending not all men. And that
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
offended so many women saying, you can't just say not all men. Because there's so many posts saying like how obviously, I don't know, there's this post that I put up, I don't know if you saw it, Pal,
yeah.
that one where this woman, is it alright if I read it out? I just want to know what
Of
your thoughts.
course.
Yeah, so it says basically the problem with saying not all men in response to harassment and violence against women. So
Mm,
she's like, you're right, we know it's not all men, but we have no way of knowing which men, and it's enough of them that we have to be on high alert and take precautions. every time we leave the house alone. Don't wear headphones, wear shoes you can run in, tell someone where you're when you're home, plan your route carefully, particularly at night, but even in the day, and it's even worse for trans women. So she's saying how, like, obviously we're told what we said, to how to protect ourselves, how to do this, how to do that, but instead it should be focused on the men who are obviously doing this. And it's not, obviously, we're not saying it's all men, like just saying it's all men, but it's enough of them to say, you know, it's a big social issue. Like, you have to.
Yes, I think I saw a similar post where the point was made that it isn't all men. We're well aware that it isn't all men, but we don't know which men it is, because there is no sign on somebody's head saying that that's who they are or that's what they plan to do.
Actually, the most random things happen. Like, it's just crazy. Like, a woman could just, I don't know, I'm not saying obviously it's all men, but you could just be walking down the street, and then if you reject someone, or if you know, someone's in a car telling you to come in, whatever, then there's been incidents where, you know, they attack you or just for rejecting them. There's stuff like that happens, which is just so bad.
Yes, where you have to be careful how you talk to somebody who is being insulting and threatening to you. But you cannot respond. You have to respond in a careful, perhaps gentle way, because you're worried about what your response will make them do, which is not okay.
And that's why women feel afraid to say no. You know,
Morning.
they say,
"Good morning, Georgia."
Oh, morning, Georgia.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one thing I have to stress, because we're talking about men and women here, is that, again, we also know that rape and harassment and this kind of activity they don't just happen to women. We do know that they can happen to men as well. What we're talking about here is something that happens to women a lot. So we are not negating the fact that it does happen to men, that men can be in this situation, but we are at this moment talking about the fact that nearly all women have experienced this one way or another.
Yeah, even if you don't like experience the whole like it doesn't get really bad, even like things like you know you're being followed in a way, or you know, like somebody on social media keeps on messaging you and stuff, even those things can leave you quite paranoid.
Like walking home, imagine if you have a job that's far away and you have no choice of walking home in the dark. That's just, and then feeling uncomfortable, and your parents telling you, don't walk alone at night, you know, have someone with you. It's just really annoying, because I wouldn't go for a walk sometimes, just in the evening, and then you're just like, oh, actually, that's not safe.
And let's face it, even if you have to get on the bus, you have to wait at the bus stop, and your bus stop is probably not right outside your house or right outside your work, so there will be some walking, even if you're trying to be safe. I know I couldn't afford to get a taxi every time I have to leave the house.
When I'm in like Northampton, I have like my friends, they finish uni quite late, so I'm like really like on high alert with these things. I just can't help it. So when they like finish uni, I'm always like, send me your location, or like text me when you've left, because I feel like it's better to be safe, you know. And they're always like, oh pal, like you don't need to do that, like there's no point. And I'm like, no, if you don't do that, I won't be able to rest. Even I'm at home. I'm at home right now, and I still tell them to send me their location, even though they're like an hour.
Yeah, I've told my friends as well. They can always call me, or they can always, if they feel afraid, or you know.
So it's not nice. As Khadija said, like I want to go out for a walk in the evenings. You know, I want to like just go outside and like feel safe, because like even if I go out on a walk, it's like I like listening to music.
But you can't even, sometimes you're just wary. You can't even put both headphones in, or be a bit.
It's not nice. Not a nice feeling.
No, and you made a really interesting comment there, Pell, about how you check on your friends and your friends check on you. and you have to see it that way. And I wonder, with no judgment, I wonder how many men have had that conversation with each other. How many men have said, "Let me know when you get home," or "If you feel worried, ring me." I'm sure that doesn't happen anywhere near so much. So, because there isn't that necessity, and there isn't the evidence that bad things can happen to people if they do that. So you know, we are living with a reality that many men don't actually have. Yeah. What sort of I keep thinking about sort of our English learners is that many of us have different cultures, different religions. We like to express ourselves in different ways to show our identity or to reinforce our identity. Now, let me explain identity. Identity is our idea of who we are. And that is always a very big thing. That we are not just one thing, we are all sorts of things. And one way that we like and are allowed to express ourselves and show our identity is in how we dress or how we look. So I think that where a lot of comments were being made on social media about how we dress in order to not get attention and not get harassment, is that okay? Do we have to change how we dress in order to avoid people doing something like that to us?
Women should not have to change the way they dress because of people, of men not being able to control their, what would you say, desires? I don't know.
Maybe their impulses. Yeah.
They should learn how to just I don't know. We shouldn't have to change all the time, if you get me. But
No, I agree. I mean, we are in 2021.
yeah.
Maybe in Neanderthal times, there was a little bit less impulse control. But now we are educated, generally educated, socially adapted people, all of us.
Yeah.
Men and women.
It's weird.
And
Oh, sorry. Go on.
no, carry on.
It's weird because I find it really funny how they're like we should change how we dress. It's really funny because men can't change how they dress. So why should we have to change how we dress? You know, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
No.
I'm aware that there are some females out there who are also like not good people. Like, they also go and do bad stuff. But you know, as you said, it's mostly from what we've seen and heard men
and experienced it.
Yeah. So I just find it funny how they're always like, even some ladies, that's the funny thing, even some females are like, oh, you should watch your dress. That's not fair because
that's the sad bit. You get a woman saying as well to you, oh, you know, maybe not wear that, or you know, or men will say their like thing to go against you to say that. They'll be like, but you're asking for it. You've dressed like that, so you know. That's what angers me, because it's like, no, I'm wearing this for me. It's not for anyone else. That's what I do all the time. If I dress up, it's only for me.
Yeah.
Like they're like
women love to dress up as well.
Yeah, but
self-esteem
they're like,
and everything. So
yeah, 100%. They're like, who are you trying to impress, and like
that just
whatnot.
Makes me
and I'm like,
pisses me off. I'm just like, no.
I'm like, I'm trying to,
for me, no one else.
Like, when I'm walking past shops, I want to see myself. That's what I'm trying to impress myself.
I catch myself in the mirror and say, you look good.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously there's that very important factor of owning your body. If you wear something that shows your body, then that is okay. That's there's no problem with that. And I notice that there is in the younger generation of men, that's becoming something that they want to do as well. So a lot of young men wear t-shirts that are very tight to show that they work out, and that they have their six-pack, and they wear jeans that are very tight. So they are proud of their bodies, and they are wearing clothes to show their bodies. So it is something that men do as well.
Yeah.
And there is no problem with that.
Yeah, men also should be allowed if they want to wear what they want as well. If they want to go against the usual clothes for men, that's fine. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So the assumption, when we say assumption, we mean a belief that somebody has, but without any evidence, without any proof that this is actually true. So the assumption that, as you say, somebody is wearing tight clothing, or not very much clothing, or particularly eye-catching clothing, in order to simply catch attention from other people, rather than to simply express their own happiness with their body.
Their interest in fashion.
Yeah. So it's not okay. And as you say, unfortunately, even other women will sometimes say, if she was dressed like that, then that was going to happen to her. And the whole gap in that comment is the fact that it's the responsibility of the man concerned simply not to do that to her. And as you say, it's been like that for a long time. We are learning, but there is still a lot of that kind of thought around. Don't ask for trouble.
Do you know what just came into my mind as well while you were saying that? We're like, oh yeah, you have to be careful of what you wear. But then let's take, for example, Muslims who literally people who wear the hijab, they literally cover themselves so much. But then
there's
some that wear a niqab where literally they cover so much, and then people are like, why are you overdressed? So
it's you can't be too much or too less. It's just you just need to respect people's their preferences. If they want to cover up, then it's fine. If they don't want to, then should be fine.
No, that's a really, really good point, and one I'm glad you came to, Pell, where how we dress reflects our religious beliefs, or our cultural beliefs, or perhaps what we see as our social norm, our social normal, and we don't feel comfortable dressed in a different way, then that should also have no backlash from anybody else. And yes, as you say, there is a suspicion on occasion, or people can be very negative about people who are wearing the niqab, who are fully covered, because of some disturbing social acceptances, which are they're not okay for this day and age, where we have a multicultural, diverse society, certainly in the UK. And it's really important that everybody gets to express themselves. Now, I have to admit that if I saw somebody with a swastika tattoo on their arm, that would be something where I would develop an attitude towards that person. So I would wonder why they had a swastika tattooed on their arm. So just for, again, our English learners, a swastika was the sign, the symbol used by Nazi Germany to support their beliefs of in the atrocities that were committed during the First and Second World War, specifically the Second World War. So I think that for me, if somebody decided to express themselves in that way, I would have a problem with it. And I wonder how I would address that. Because for me, that's a symbol of hatred. That's a symbol of lack of understanding for anybody apart from your own race or your own type. And I find that very divisive. So divisive means it is designed to split people up, to make people see each other as enemies or as people they must hate. So, yes, for that person, I think I might avoid that person. I might walk away from that person. I might not try and start a conversation with that person. Perhaps I would ask them about it. That would, perhaps I would say, why? Why do you have a swastika on your arm? And I think, so there is always something that will offend or make somebody question who you are. And if you do make your beliefs and your identity, your personality clear in how you look, in how you dress, then you must certainly be prepared for questions, interest, and but judgment is you cannot judge a person just simply based on the way they look, because we are more than how we look. What do you feel? Well, how would you feel if you saw somebody with a swastika on their arm?
I feel like I would probably feel similar to you as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's just you do like kind of, if you do see that, you do assume, but then assuming sometimes is like, it can be really like, they can turn out to be completely different. But obviously with that, in that case, I don't think, I find it difficult to talk to that person.
Yes, yeah. The judgment would be very quick, and it would be hard to take away that judgment. Yeah, absolutely. So, but it could be that person did have those beliefs, doesn't have those beliefs anymore, but tattoos are very hard to get rid of. Or even perhaps that they did have that belief, don't have those beliefs anymore, and actually still hold it there to remind themselves that they were there and they're not there now. It's always worth asking before you judge. But yeah, there are many things people do to express their identity, their beliefs, their culture through how they dress or how they decide to look, what they do with their hair, what they do with their faces. Do they wear makeup? Do they not wear makeup? And I mean, it crosses so many different things. So it doesn't just cross culture, it crosses gender, age. So, for example, I put hair dye in my hair because a lot of my hair is grey and I don't want to have grey hair. And that isn't me being worried about my age. It's me not wanting to have grey hair. But I think you can, but that is certainly me making a decision of how I look to other people. And not wanting, because people can be ageist. People can look at somebody and say, oh, they have grey hair, so they must be old. They perhaps don't understand things so well. Perhaps they are perhaps physically not well. People make even kind assumptions about age as well as gender and everything else. So we all spend a little bit of time trying to show who we feel we are in whatever way that is. So what do you think, Khadija or Pal? What is there anything you specifically do to show your identity through how you look?
I think even Khadija knows. I tell from my clothes. I'm a very I like to wear
You're
bright
very
stuff.
unique.
Yeah,
I feel
so
like we're both kind of like funky with our fashion.
yeah,
Isn't that?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think our
Funky is
clothes.
a good word.
Funky.
So,
Yeah.
funky, by when we say funky, we mean a little bit less than normal, so
Yeah.
different.
I don't like anything that's normal. I
Yeah,
actually do
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
but sometimes I like dressing like in
Putting
stuff
your
I haven't
own.
seen people in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you got to know us, like,
Mm.
if you just saw us, you'll be like, okay, like, interesting. But if oh,
I'm pretty
if
sure we
you,
probably have like we're living a double life now. I feel like me and
yeah,
Pels
yeah,
look like this right now, but then when you see us in the street, you might walk past us because we
yeah.
look completely different.
But the funny thing is, from knowing Khadija, like her fashion actually matches her identity. I don't know how,
Yeah,
but
it's weird, like how
yeah,
it suits people.
yeah,
It's
like
their
it's
personality is similar to how, yeah,
yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
as Khadija said, it's like we have a double
double
identity.
life. And same
Yeah,
with Pearl as well. I think her the way she expresses herself through her fashion is similar to
yeah.
her identity. Yeah.
It's also like it's so weird because even like how you're feeling on that day. So if I'm tired or
You
I'm in a
can
bad mood, I'll
tell
just wear
through what we
black.
wear.
Yeah,
Well, that's because of the weather. You try to suit your outfit to like the
yeah,
weather.
yeah.
If
So
you
I
guys
think
do that, but
Yeah, good. They're all good points, actually. Yes. So, when do you think you started expressing yourself through how you dress? Khadija, so you have this dress sense that Pell says is very much you, really reflects your personality. When do you think you started doing that?
oh, I don't know. I feel like I was always a weird person, just ever since just wearing whatever I wanted since I was younger. But I don't know, when I started to actually find more out about fashion, actually explore, I think I was probably like 15, 14, 15
Mm,
when I started to, and obviously I have siblings as well older than me that have been influenced by them or my relatives or people that I've seen on social media, So
Yeah,
yeah, from
yeah.
that age, I think I started taking an interest in like dressing differently and wearing things that are like I haven't seen on people. But
yeah,
That makes sense because obviously when you are a teenager, that's the time when you find your individuality. I mean, often it's quite a rebellious stage. It's a time, so rebellious means that you are fighting against the normal. You actually want to be different. You want to challenge some of the rules and some of the expectations around you. So yeah, it's quite a rebellious time, but it's rebellious because that is the age where you start needing to have your identity. You
yeah.
know that you're going out into the world at some point soon. You need to know who you are. Yeah.
It's sad because of lockdown, we can't really express wear any of our outfits. I have like 50 outfits waiting for me, and I'm just like, I
yeah,
can't wear this at all. So I'm just stuck here looking like this.
and pajamas and
Yeah, pajamas every
Yes.
day.
clothing.
You
Yeah.
made you made another really good point, both of you, about you said we're living a double life. So a double life means living in one way some of your life and in another way for another part of your life. And many of us do this. So many of us will dress one way in one situation and another way in another situation, and sometimes multiple situations, more than just two. Because we feel that we want to fit in with our environment. And this is something that we, again, choose to do. Not everybody does it. Some people are very protective of looking how they want to look all of the time. And some people like the feeling of being part of a group or environment and looking like part of that group or environment. So for example, if we see this as to a certain extent, I mean, we have a lovely time in our conversation cafes, but it is a work environment, isn't it? So we are at work and we dress and behave and look a certain way to reflect that, because that is how we feel comfortable.
Mm.
And perhaps we're responding to expectations of others as well, what we think other people expect of us. So again, in the time when you are simply expressing yourself, not social expectations, there's a freedom and a liberty to that, isn't there? Yeah, when you are actually saying, I have to do all sorts of things in my life. There are periods of my life where I have to look a certain way, or I need to look a certain way. And then this is my time where I am me, and I'm just me.
It reminds me also, it reminds me of like something. These are two completely different things, but the first one is like, I always think like, what you like, if you go out and you meet someone for the first time, like your clothes like kind of like give them like the first impression of you in a way. It's also like when I go out, I'm always like, if I wear this, will people think I'm weird? I have a constant conversation in my head. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I like this, but will people like this? And then as I'm leaving the door, I'm like, I don't care what people think. But I was just like, it was like nighttime. I was scrolling through Twitter and I came across this girl who does videos based on fashion. And somebody put in the comment, you must take so long because you even get dressed to go to the shops. And
But it's weird, isn't it? Because for me, that's just normal. It's not like,
literally.
it's not, something that I do like take an hour extra to do. It's just
it's
normal,
it's just
my normal thing. Like like when I go to uni, you see obviously a lot of students, obviously, because when you think of uni students, you think, oh, they don't have time, they have to just quickly put on some joggers or something. But then you see like me and my friend, we like to dress up, or most of us like to dress up, even if it's just uni. It's not, in other people's eyes it would be dressing up, but for me it's just normal clothes.
I can't go out in joggers. I cannot.
No, I've never gone out in I mean, that's not bad if you want to dress in joggers.
Yeah.
Go
Some
ahead,
people
but
can
for me it's
pull off.
wear something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a nice message. It's not well, perhaps it's kind of relevant to what we were talking about to start off with. This says, hi, love to the person seeing this comment. Please remember that you matter. You are loved. Please never give up. Also, take care of yourself and stay safe. Drink water and get enough sleep. Thank you.
There's all drink water, actually. Sometimes I forget.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That was a very
definitely get enough sleep.
Yeah, very kind and sensible comment. Thank you for that, Moni LC. Nice. Yeah, so I think I think when we dress, I mean, obviously there are some situations. So, for example, if somebody is trans, they are dressing very much to express their identity, aren't they? And that identity is one that, unfortunately, many people can respond to. And I know I've seen it. I've seen somebody who is trans walk into some social event, and I see people looking and I see people commenting that, and there is a response to that, which must be incredibly hard to see. I think even perhaps sometimes people who don't necessarily have all that negative a feeling about it will still respond. They still have this initial surprise or a second look or something that will show that that person has not been able to simply walk into a room and be themselves. So, I mean, that's a very clear example of how we all need to have the right to look like we want to look. And I think there is this problem with people. There's a very good English phrase, don't judge the book by the cover.
Yeah.
Definitely. So this is if you can imagine, if you have a book, it is full of words and maybe pictures and ideas That is the book. But if you only look at the cover of the book, then you don't really know what's inside.
Yeah.
And the cover could be deliberately misleading, or the cover could be something that you just don't like, or you don't think you like. And then you're not allowing for all the other things inside that book. So it's a really good depiction. You know, you can see how people can think that way. So I think as well, for example, when I teach at college, I teach a lot of young people, and I see a lot of young people trying very hard to identify themselves, for example, with what they wear and how they have their hair. And in many cases, they are trying to find their own. So often somebody will come in with an anime t-shirt, and they will come in and somebody, perhaps anybody, will come up to them and say, "That's a great t-shirt." And that person probably likes anime. So those two people can talk because they have almost signaled to each other that they are in the same social group, that they can be friends. So I do think as well, you know, that it is almost a signal. It's almost, you know, how sort of in the same way that peacocks have these great tails to say, "Hi, I'm a peacock." It's important to be able to express ourselves. The only problem with trying to create your own group, your own culture, is that you have to then avoid the tendency to create the existence of an other, a rival group, a group that doesn't understand you, a group that you don't understand. So I do think that self-expression in this way has some really good, we have some really good reasons for doing it. And going back to Sarah Everard and all those other women who have felt unhappy, harassed. So when we say harassed, that means when somebody is bothering you in some way or another. It can be very mild. It can be just somebody looking at you in a way that you don't like. And obviously, but it can get very, very, very bad and be somebody doing you harm, somebody invading your privacy. So harassment has a very broad band, but the trouble is that where it starts over here with somebody just looking at you in a way you don't like, that could be the start of it growing and becoming something far worse. So we need to think about it right from the beginning. Always be aware of these kind of things happening to you. So where women specifically are being harassed because they don't want, because the way they look is making somebody feel that they are inviting harassment. This is where these comments on social media are becoming so interesting, isn't it? So I've seen a really good comment about, one said to men, it's turned around. So what you were talking about before, where women are looking after each other, and some lists of what you can do to help each other as women to avoid harassment, to avoid things happening to you that should not happen. I've seen similar lists of advice to men to help their friends to avoid doing these things to women. And they're really, they are really insightful.
To just tell, like, let's say you're in a group of all men and like you see something that's happened, or they made a comment, even if they're your friend, you know, sometimes, you know, that's not okay just because they're your friend. Just to say, like, it's better just to educate them. If they don't decide to accept that, then there's something that they should learn, because
rather lose that friend than
Yeah.
carry on being them. Because if you stay with them and they're not changing their ways, or you know, like acting this way, then in a way you're also like that because you're accepting it, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I've been seeing a lot as well.
Absolutely. So when we see this, you know, yes, I understand what men are saying when they say not all men, but as you say, if it's not you, but your friend behaves in a way that does reflect some bad behaviors and bad attitudes towards women, and you are not telling them that that's not right, then it is you.
Because then you're just watching it happen, and then they just think it's normal, and then just keep going on with it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The sad thing is because it has become normal.
Yeah.
That's why, you know,
People are afraid of losing their friends or being bullied because calling out someone, you know. It's hard, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's because
is.
like people might think it's cool that they're acting all, you know, brave and whatnot. So if somebody, like their friend, challenges them, then that friend might go against them, saying
their ego, you know, a lot of like people, their pride is like, you know, important to them. If they get called out on something, they're gonna be like,
yeah, they'll get angry and have a fight and
embarrassed.
Yeah, but it can be scary to call somebody out. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So on that point, I'm going to bring our session to a close, because I think we've given everybody a lot to think about, and I'm sure that many of you were already thinking about this, because it is so high priority in our media at the moment. And I have one more thing to say, and that is that this is Khadija and Pel's last week doing their volunteering with Everyday English, and we will miss them very much. It has been fantastic to have your input, and I hope that you've both enjoyed sharing this experience with some of our learners. So I'm hoping they're going to come back and visit on occasion, and wish
really
them
good. I'm pretty sure both me and Pearl, we've enjoyed every single session. Having these talks with you as well, it's just nice. Like I said before, it's like just catching up with each other on what's going on the world. So that's nice.
Absolutely. No, it's been great fun and really informative. So thank you so much, and best wishes for your continued studying. And as I said, I do hope we see you again.
Definitely, we'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for our likes and our views and our comments. That's been lovely. And I do have Khadija and Pal with me this afternoon. So oh, here we go. Hold on just one second. Ronzo.
I'm glad.
Hello. How lovely to hear from you. Yes, this session has been a good one. It's very, very strong topic here in the UK at the moment. And obviously, I'm sure that in India, you have some stories of your own that you can tell about these kind of situations as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And I do hope that we all get back together soon. We will see you at here we go. I appreciate all of you. Why is this Pel and Khadija's last session? Yes, I know, Ronzo. We're sad. Pel and Khadija are very busy university students who have given us some of their free time to get involved with Everyday English and with Community Courtyard. And they must go back to their studies now, but we are hoping very much they will come back to visit us.
Yes, you might catch us in the comments sometimes as well.
Yes. definitely.
That would be wonderful. So we will. And Ronza, when we appreciate you too. We loved your comments all about what you're doing in India with your teaching, and you are always welcome to join our sessions. And as Pal and Khadija say, you may well see some comments from them as well. So let's carry on then, and see everybody at 1:30 this afternoon for our game session.
Yes.
We're going to be looking at parts of speech. So we have a good game to play. We'll be testing Khadija and Pal one last time. So all the best to you all, and we will hopefully see you again this afternoon.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.